about that with Kevin. So, what are some ways to add longevity to your roof that are, cost effective?
Yeah. One way we found that is amazing is roof coatings. And they're becoming more and more popular, and there's a variety of reasons why people like them. Oftentimes a roof doesn't need to be completely replaced. Even if it's leaking in various places around the roof, if the roof is not entirely saturated, you can coat that whole roof with a fluid applied seamless system and add another 20 years plus to the life of that roof without opening it up, without creating any kind of liability, because anytime you open a roof, you run some risks, especially if there's an active tenant in the building. And so this particular, there's a couple of systems we use. On metal roofs, we'll use an elastomeric acrylic restoration system. And then on flat roofs, we use a urethane silicone hybrid system. And they're seamless because it's all fluid applied. You're like building a roof on top of a roof. They're not adding any weight. Oftentimes they'll cool down the building because of reflectivity, especially on metal. Really, metal would be the one they would do that. And then, you can write the whole thing off in a year because it's considered repair. And they truly come up with, they come with up to 20-year warranties, which is the equivalent of a new roof. And so more and more people, I think, are starting to like that idea. It's cost effective. There's less waste. You can be in and out. Why would you replace a roof when you can restore it? And what I've come to find, doing this for a while, is when I go to a roof, I like to find out what the problem is and solve. I like to think of myself more as a problem solver than just a salesman. And I think if someone goes to your facility and they don't locate a problem and just try to sell you something, then you wonder if they're really coming up with a solution or if they're just coming up with a generic approach that they use to make money. So I think it's important when someone comes to look at your roof, they need to, it's helpful if they can say, hey, here's your problem and here's your solution. And so I think that's what we're doing even with the coatings is, if we can create a system on top of this roof that's going to stop it from leaking, why would we tear it off? I mean, it's a fraction of the cost, because once you remove the roof, you're required to, obviously replace all that insulation, and it has to be up to code. So when the original roof might have 2 inches of insulation, but 20 years later, now we have to have 4 inches of insulation. So everything starts to rise in cost. There's more permits and codes that you have to adhere to, and so it has a lot of it offers a lot of options for building owners when they're up against a wall, whether with a budget or just trying to adhere to codes. Like the coding is oftentimes a really great option.